Hello, this is a lecture about generative AI. I'd like to discuss how the AI is impacting the architectural practice in the new age of computation. So first, let's clarify a little bit on the terminologies related to AI. So today you heard about AI, machine learning, deep learning, large language model. So in general, AI is a large umbrella term which has multiple subsets. So for example, machine learning is a part of AI, and deep learning is a part of machine learning. When we talk about generative AI, which is referred to the AI specialized to generate content, such as text, image, audio, music, or 3D model. A large language model like ChatGPT is a part of AI, is a subset of AI, right? So just clarify some of the terminologies. So when we talk about the generative AI for the design creative field, basically we mean you can use text prompt or image to image to generate new content, right? This new content is based on some training material. This could be a harvest thousands, tens of thousands of reference material, feed into AI, and let the AI to learn from this material. Right? It could be text, could be image, could be 3D model, could be video, and then this AI is able to generate new stuff based on the rules, other guidance we provided. For example, you see the image at the bottom is interface of stable diffusion. So you can input a lot of text. So if I give a text about falling water, this famous Frank Lloyd Wright his design, then the image can be generated fairly close to his original design. So that's one example about how the AI can be used to generate creative ideas. A couple of years ago, I think this is back to 2019, really 5 years ago, I started to teach AI in architecture studio and class. At that point, we use a program called Deep Dream. I can click the link, show you a little bit. So basically, this app is able to take an image, and then you can assign a style to translate the image to a completely different look. So that's how the generative AI has been used then to create different styles. We call it style transfer. You can also let AI to do hallucinations. So you can generate some random image, can make a meaning out of this randomness. It's a pretty cool stuff. We also did a lot of projects related to labeling. So you can label, a building facade with windows and doors. If you feed enough training material, then you give a new image. The AI is able to predict how many windows, how many doors in this picture. And also the same thing you can apply to the floor plan, to the section. The AI is able to understand the meaning, right? So this is called classification. At that point, it doesn't really generate a very good feedback from students. Lots of complaints because at that point AI is not as robust as today, like Midjourney or Diffusion. You have to do a lot of labor, manual work. So that was not really working well with architecture students. And today I will talk about this kind of new trend of image-based AI, which is really easy to use. And I believe this is probably a good time for architecture students to start use it. After these 5 years. So first, I want to talk a little bit some possible products available in the market you can try. The first one is DALL-E. This is from OpenAI, the same company do the ChatGPT. You can give a text prompt, and then the AI is able to produce image. For example, I give a text prompt is I want to create a multi-story building with window on the facade. I want to have a sci-fi style, and I give this reference image. This is a clay model I made many years ago. So I tell DALL-E to start imagination using this as an input. So the first run give me several iterations. Some of them looks like a high-rise building, some of them looks like a residential or commercial. And then I'll give another round of text. This is how you can refine your text prompt based on the previous outcome. So I tell the DALL-E to follow the forms and the shapes closer, because I think this one is a little bit too deviate from my original image. So the second round, you see the image are a little bit closer, right, to the original picture. Then I tell the DALL-E to do another round of editing, right? So I want you to follow really closely to the 3D form and the shapes of the original picture. I also want this to be a 3-story building instead of a tower. I want this to be a shell structure, right? So some of the result is pretty close to the shell. And also I want to have a night rendering, so with some lighting bleed out of the window. Okay, so this is some refinement you can do with the text prompt. The same thing for many AI apps. Here's another example with a Prom AI. This is relatively new. It has number one is free, so you can sign up and try. Same idea, you can feed in an image, and then you can generate iterations from it. And I did a very similar text prompt. It's a 90 rendering with multi-story building with some windows, and here's the result. All right, so you are encouraged to give a try. So what you see here, the negative prompt is what you do not want to have, right? So you can give positive prompt and also negative prompt, and also you can apply the style. So that's the typical terms when you do the generative art, generative AI. With AI, you can definitely enhance your creativities. You can create a lot of renderings very fast, which could be break the boundaries of traditional way design, right? You can explore the unconventional forms. For example, you can take a picture of, I don't know, a mouse or a keyboard, and then you tell the AI, hey, go ahead, generate a building for me. So this is kind of unconventional way. Also, it's very efficient. Really depends on the GPU power or the app you use. You don't really have to wait too long. You can generate many iterations with a few clicks. So here are some examples. I did Archigram, I did Zaha's organic form, also simplified ceiling form using stable diffusion. And here's the example about text prompt. Again, you can use other apps like ChatGPT to give you a really nice long text prompt. I think ChatGPT is intended to decorate, make a very complicated sentences, but it's not necessarily the best solution all the time. Sometimes a shorter sentence with a few keywords will actually generate a more interesting form. So you have to find the right balance. So this example is actually a computer rendering I made a couple of years ago with my mathematical model. So I want to take this rendering as input, right? This is abstract rendering for sculpture. It's not a building. So I want this to be the building, right? So here's the text prompt suggested by ChatGPT. Is how I want to use it to create a multi-story building, right? They talk about styles, talk about environment, the context. So the first round is come out with more like a residential building, small scale, daylighting. I'm not super happy with it. Then I refine this in Prom AI. So this is actually a pretty cool result come out. You can definitely see it does respect, if I go back here, the original form, it does respect the original geometric relations, right? You see this curved shell-like structure being preserved. I really like the one in the top right corner. This is almost looks like a commercial complex with, I think it's quite feasible if you really think about the structural stabilities, you can build it. Then I will talk a little bit more about one of the generative AI I really like. It's called Stable Diffusion. You can download this, which is free from Hugging Face. You can also go to a website called Civit AI. There's a lot of models available in this website. I do want to mention the model actually means checkpoint. If you think about checkpoint, is like you're training AI, right? Like training a kid, a child. So child can grow from 1 year old to a teenager. So checkpoint is kind of like a snapshot about is this person's knowledge. Of course, you could have multiple checkpoints. When the AI be trained over and over and learn more and more knowledge materials, the checkpoints can be updated over time, right? So there's multiple checkpoints about stable diffusion available in the Civit AI. So you are welcome to check it out. There's also a lot of other community generated content, which is because it's open source, right? So some community members share their training model. So sometimes this training model is the checkpoint. Sometimes is called LoRa. Is a kind of customized training built on a base model. So we'll get into this later. When you use generative AI, you should always consider the ethics related to using AI because, as you know, the AI is based on a lot of training material, right? Like hundreds, thousands of renderings available in the internet. So really depends on the source of this training content. It could be, questionable how this AI is, respecting the original copyright ownership, right, or the authorship of those content. For example, in the Civit AI, you can see some of these trainings is really based on a particular architect's style. So, for example, if I open this one, just show you a little bit. So this is really based on the Bota's architecture design. So I think there's a lot of his work has been used to train this AI. So this AI is able to produce image kind of like his style, right? So again, you should think about the the IP, the ownership of the architects. Anyway, this is one of the LoRa model. If you actually click how to use it, there's instructions. Uh, and also you can download the file, which is free. And this model is based on the SD Stable Diffusion XL 1.0. So this is the base model. Whenever you use this LoRa, you have to use this base model. Here I can actually show you really quick. Well, we'll do that in another longer tutorial, probably not this one. Okay, so go back to here, future, which I believe the generative AI will give a huge boost on the creative minds, right? If you use your knowledge about design, you can generate this really interesting symbiotic relationship between you and the AI. You can be partners. You can create amazing work. Here's just some tricks related to how to use Stable Diffusion. It's not really applicable to Midjourney or other AI. So I will just go through this really quick. First one is where you can download the Stable Diffusion, and this is a rough interface. You can have image to image, text to image. You can refine a model based on a 2D image. And also there are some terms related to these settings, for example, dimension, CFG, denoising strength. Just refer to my longer tutorial later I'm gonna post. That will cover more details about how exactly these settings gonna change, right? What is the sampling steps means? What's the batch count means? In general, sample means the Stable Diffusion could start with a random noise and then start to iterate. We call each step is iterate the previous outcome. So the more steps is maybe closer to your text prompt, or it could be further away, depends on how you set up the rules. So here's an example about this original clay model. Now is translating this into a building. And also you can see after I increase the sampling steps, this is getting a little bit closer, right, to a building. I also can bouncing up the dimension. I can play with other settings. So this is kind of like a building now. And here is a text prompt. You can see I'm trying to do a Zaha Hadid architect's style. And here is a evidence of quick iteration. We can quickly generate 8 different solutions. You do see I have modified this text prompt a little bit. I think some of this result is pretty interesting, right? And I continue to refine my text, image to image. I start to produce multiple solutions. They all look similar, but if you really pay attention, these openings, this organic form, they all slightly varied from each other. So this is the version I like a lot. So I think, wow, nice. I want to preserve or save this image. Then I use the impend function in Stable Diffusion to mask the areas I like to change. So this mask area will be the only region I like to change. Ask Stable Diffusion to continue iterate to generate other possible solutions. So after this, it generates another solution. You can see the window has changed to a different shape. The space between the base store level and the upper level has been changed with some new shape of openings, right? And then I can say, hey, I want this mask be blurred. So that means you can enlarge your impend area. Then you see this changing gonna bleed, into a neighboring pixels as generating a new solution. Right? So if you repeat this over and over, this is called soft impending. You can get a lot of ideas quickly. So here's the example about the Stable Diffusion's outcome, still using the similar text prompt. This is covered in my longer tutorial, so just make sure you watch the longer one later. It's about 1 hour long. I covered step by step. You will see how I do the mask, how I do the impend. So the upper part of this building is changed, right, with multiple solutions. And also here are some quick notes just to highlight something I think is important you understand this earlier. So first, Stable Diffusion checkpoint is the model, the base model you should load. If you do want to load, for example, the basic, obviously the default good solution, you could using the config preset. We already did one for our hosted Stable Diffusion. It's called SDXL preset. So if you're loading this guy, it will automatically populate these numbers. You just need to define the refiner, which is Stable Diffusion XL refiner. So what the refiner do is will increase the quality of your original iteration, but also at the cost of more computing time, computing power. So that's a refiner. If you think your idea is, you don't want to take too long to render a high quality, you could disable the refiner so you get a quicker, lower quality result. Okay, but this is the default preset, and our default checkpoint is the base 1.0 XL base. Okay. Another trick I want to share is the LoRa, which is add-on model on top of the Stable Diffusion's base model. So if you want to use LoRa, so first click LoRa tag, then you can load in LoRa on top of the base. Just make sure this has to be a base, XL base 1.0. When you click LoRa and click this, for example, this is a minimum style architecture. If you click this LoRa, it's automatically loading this tag. So this tag will say, hey, I want to have 100%, which is 1, to use this LoRa style. Okay, so just make sure you click, then you'll see it show up. It has to be a base model, XL 1.0. I do want to show you, besides this minimum architecture style, you have we actually download Studio Ghibli. This is one of my favorite movie style from Miyazaki, Japanese artist. So this is a compare two images. One we do not using the LoRa, the other one is we actually use it. So definitely you can see the image on the right represent much better the artist style because I'm using the LoRa, Ghibli Studio style LoRa. And the one on the left is more generic because the base model do not have that many training materials related to the movie. Now this is from the House Moving Castle. You can see even the characters right closer to that movie. And the similar idea, the one on the left is a generic base model, but the one on the right is a customized LoRa for Ghibli Studio style. And here's the final one I really like. It's kind of like a house moving castle. You have chimneys, you have legs. That definitely can only be achieved with a specialized LoRa model. At the end, oh yeah, by the way, you should think about if you use a LoRa model like Bota architects, right? You can generate the building like his style. So that's definitely a benefit. The last, not the least, is a couple of video tutorials on the YouTube. You can see a lot of trainings related to different type of AI. Some of them are Midjourney, some of them are Stable Diffusion, Flux. People compare different tricks, pros and cons. So check it out. And also, I have a longer version of this video. It's about 1 hour long, so you feel free to click and you can watch. This video I covered step by step how to use Stable Diffusion, how to load the base model, how to load the LoRa model, and how you can use an image, mask, intent, how you can let it to generate variables, refine a nice iteration to multiple iterations. Also, I talk a little bit about LoRa. One thing I forgot to do in this tutorial is actually I forgot to switch the base model. Actually, I'm using the wrong one. This is a refiner model, not a base model. So just make sure when you use a LoRa, whatever LoRa model you loaded, you want to use a base model, not a refiner model. So I forgot to switch. So that's probably one of the mistakes I made. So for other, LoRa model, just make sure you check their download page, make sure they match with the refiner or base. I think in 99% time, you should not using refiner. You should using the base model here um, to to generate your image. Okay. All right. I think that's all about this tutorial. I think this will be a good starting point for you to generate some really interesting solutions. All right, I think that concludes this lecture.